Chuck. You're flashing red.
And it's got a flash green, right?
Yep. Okay, let's start again. Call the Wednesday, June 9th, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. Roll call. Chuck Smallwood.
Sylvia Henry.
Sam Solars.
Jessica Bonniwell.
Michael Sommerfeld.
Please all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion, excuse me, for a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Was that for the agenda or for the minutes?
That was the minutes.
I did that backwards, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, look for approval of the agenda.
I make approval of the agenda as written.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, now we're talking. Next order of business, new application. Catherine Nyberg is showing interest in joining the Planning and Zoning Commission again.
I think it would be a good idea. I don't have a copy of her application in here.
It's in the packet.
You can look at mine.
Can I?
Page 9.
I think it's right there.
I know Catherine was on the Planning and Zoning for a number of years, and she didn't resign, she just quit coming to meetings. That's the problem I have.
I was to the understanding that she didn't even really resign because she went to take care of her sister or something in Texas and never got back. And then she called and said she wouldn't be back
Okay.
because they didn't know how long it was going to last.
Well, I was under the impression that she didn't notify anybody, though. It just,
I knew this.
okay.
I don't know how I knew it and no one else did. Because whoever was on the planning and zoning knew that she was going to Texas to take care of her sister or that.
Okay. And then she did apply that was about 3 years ago. And I believe it was voted down at that point.
So did Roy sign up at that time when she did. Both of them were turned down for no reason.
Okay.
And I don't think we should deny her of getting back on.
Well, then we'd have an even number again. That brings
Because
up to
then, well, you didn't do it in a nice way when you resigned last time. We'd have to, I think we should let Catherine on too. Catherine was very good.
Just keep in mind that will bring the commission up to 6 people, which could cause ties in the voting.
Yeah, that's why I just pointed out.
Yep.
I didn't want.
Then why were we running an ad for another commissioner?
Rob just came on board.
Right, but he was voted in last month. He took the oath of office. This basically came in a short time ago, within the month.
Well, look for a motion to approve Catherine Nyberger to join the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I make a motion to approve Catherine Nyberger on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Is there any seconds?
Is she here?
No, she's not here.
God, I'd love to meet her or know more. I'm sorry.
Is there a second? Okay, looking for a motion to deny Catherine Nyberger to Planning and Zoning. Do I have a second there?
I'll abstain. I don't know her and know anything about her, so.
I guess nobody knows her but Chuck and I.
Yeah. Okay, well, do we just pass this? Do we just pass this to council then?
Yeah, we can do that and have council make the decision.
Okay. All right, it'll be passed on to
No decision made.
city council for decision. Next up, we have 2 public hearings tonight. We will have city staff do an overview of this before opening a public meeting.
So I'll present the staff report, and then, as I understand it, how it usually goes, to let the applicant introduce themselves and the project, and then open it up for public comment.
Yeah.
All right, so this item is the public hearing for the consideration of an application for a planned unit development and preliminary and final plat for townhome development known as Uverson Second Edition. Anthony Jankula has, doing business as AA Properties LLC, has requested approval of a 13-unit townhome development on a 1.3-acre site located to the south of South 2nd Street and east of Garfield Avenue. The 13 townhome units are proposed within 2 structures. There would be a 5-unit building constructed first, along with an 8-unit building which would follow, as well as the internal private access roads and common open space in the northeast part of the site. This proposal has been submitted now unchanged from an identical proposal that was approved by the City Council back in 2005. The approved final plat granted for the proposal at that time was not filed, and thus the project remains unbuilt today. The site is zoned R3 medium density residential. The following approvals have been requested. Like I said, a planned unit development to allow some flexibility to lot area requirements, and simultaneous preliminary and final plat approval. The comprehensive plan guides this property for medium density residential use, defined in the plan as ranging from anywhere from 3 to 12 units per acre. This proposal, like I said, includes 13 units on a little bit over 1.3 acres of land. That results in a development density of approximately 9.9 units per acre, so that's consistent with that 3 to 12 units per acre range in the plan. The plan further states that the medium density residential category is intended to accommodate townhome complexes, apartments, and other multifamily development. The subject site is zoned R3. Permitted uses in that district include multiple family dwelling structures of 8 units or fewer, which this does meet. So that says per structure rather than overall. Within that zone, within the R3 zoning district, the minimum lot area requirement is 20,000 square feet overall, and then there's a minimum lot area per dwelling unit of 5,000 square feet. That requirement doesn't lend itself exactly to an application of townhome type developments in which the lots correspond pretty tightly to the individual dwelling units, and there's a lot of common area shared between. So the specific lots around each townhome range from about 1,600 to 2,600 square feet in size, but overall, with 13 units on the 57,000 square foot site, there's about an average of 4,425 square feet per dwelling unit, slightly less than the 5,000 square feet required in code, but the council can provide flexibility from that requirement via the planned unit development. According to the zoning ordinance, it requires 2.5 parking spaces per unit, as well as an additional half a stall per unit for guest parking. Each townhome includes a two-stall garage, as well as additional parking on the driveway in front of each garage, and then additionally there are 3 dedicated stalls for a guest parking lot use accessible on the internal drive between the townhome buildings. Within the R3 zoning district, setbacks are as follows: front yard 25 feet, side yard 10 feet, rear 20 feet. With just one exception, all of those setbacks are satisfied along the perimeter of the townhome structures. As shown on the plans, the easternmost building, the one with 5 units, it shows a proposed setback of 16 feet, whereas 20 feet is required. So that is not met. It's recommended that the plans be modified to meet that setback of 20 feet. And from discussion with the applicant and looking at the plans, it does appear that that is possible to shift that building the 4 feet west to meet that setback requirement. Should that not be possible, we would require additional heavy landscaping buffer to make up for that shortcoming. So as a planned unit development, the city has the ability to address the design and appearance of the proposed units in order to ensure a high quality development. The buildings are proposed to be finished in vinyl siding with brick veneer at the base of the front elevations. Since the initial approval of a nearly identical proposal here back in 2005, the city has strengthened its design standards a bit to require that a minimum of 25% of all building facades have an exterior finish of brick, stucco, or natural or artificial stone. So as a condition of approval, the final elevation plans will have to be modified to meet that material requirement in the city code. There's a little bit of a discrepancy between the plat drawing and the elevation drawings, whereas the plat shows that the front garages are slightly staggered to provide just a slight variation and visual interest in the facade appearance. So as a condition of approval, we're asking that the building elevations be modified to illustrate that feature of kind of staggering the units a little bit, so it doesn't just appear as one kind of flat facade. Also, as shown, the 5 row house units are provided patio doors to the rear yard. We also wanted to ensure that there was some privacy provided kind of between the units, so it's recommended that wing walls or sort of a projecting fence be constructed between those individual patios. And that the reason for that would just be to ensure that those are kind of built uniformly, so every unit has kind of the same fencing rather than individual owners kind of later adding variety of materials. Further stated, homeowners association will be required to be established, subject to review by the city attorney. That would be responsible for exterior building maintenance, approval of any exterior modifications, landscaping, snow clearing, and so forth. A preliminary landscape plan has been included in the packet as well. We're requesting that a final plan be submitted that's a little more detailed, suggesting specific trees and sizes. And then additionally, along with the approval 16 years ago, we saw an updated plan that it did include some additional evergreen trees along the east property line, and we'd like to see that added into the final plan as well. Let's see. So issues related to site grading, drainage, and utilities have been reviewed by a city engineer. There's an attached memo from Bolton and Menk addressing those issues. And then lastly, as a required condition of the PUD and final plat approval, the applicant will be required to enter into a development agreement with the city to ensure that the development is completed as proposed. So that, based on this review, staff is recommending approval of the planned unit development subject to the conditions that I had mentioned earlier, and recommending approval of the preliminary and final plat. That concludes the staff report. I believe the applicant is here to introduce themselves and the project as well, and we can take any questions that anyone has.
And then just click the button up on the microphone on top there. There you go.
So I'm Anthony. You there? Yep. Anthony Jankla. So we brought this forth, picked up this lot here and brought it forth to propose putting up a 5-plex and an 8-plex, I guess.
We can hear you. It's okay.
Okay.
That's good.
And so yeah, I guess probably the biggest thing is I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to take a look at everything, but see if you guys have any questions, I guess, first and foremost. I think we have that list of items that we can work on to kind of clarify everything. But I was out there today. We mowed the lots yesterday, clarified everything was in place, and I guess now it just comes up to getting approval to move forward.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, anybody got any questions?
No, it's really close to what was, I was actually on planning and zoning when this was approved. A few years ago, let's put it that way. And, yeah, I think your mic's off. Ooh. Did it die?
Is it red or?
There we go. Got it.
There we go. Yeah, it looks pretty close to what was approved previously. I guess everything's pretty much straightforward with all the layouts you gave us. So, anybody else have any questions? We haven't opened the public hearings yet, just for the staff here, staff and members. Okay, if there's no questions, I'll look for a motion to close the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and open the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the planning and zoning and open the public hearing.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, close the Planning and Zoning meeting at 7:20. Open the public hearing. Anyone wants to make any comments?
Okay.
Just step up to the podium. Please give your name and address.
I am Clint Potter, 265 Fieldcrest Court. I'm the adjacent landowner to the east. I've been a taxpaying lawn mowing member here for 22 years. I, first off, don't like the way the contractor addressed the planning and zoning committee. How many of you live on the proposed building site? Can you raise your hand, please, if you do? Nobody?
You're asking who of us live on it?
Yep. Do any of you live on the
No.
proposed site? Okay. 16 years ago, when this gentleman's predecessor, Bart Swanson, was here, it was not approved because if you look back at the motion, I was here and she told me they had to satisfy that 4 feet. Code is 20 and they were looking for me to sign off on 4 feet, which I'm absolutely not gonna do. When Pfeiffer owned this property, we were told no trees would be cut. Every tree off the west side of my property was cut. 16 years, I've got 16 years of growth, and I do not want to look at these townhomes. There was talk before about building a fence around the perimeter, which is something I think we would most definitely like to do. I've got a few years left to pay on this house, and I don't want to look at these additional townhomes, and I do not want to have my trees cut, so I have to. Now, I understand if a builder wants to build within these parameters, that's great. When he extends it out past, and I understand it sounds like they cannot go any further west. 16 years ago, that's what I was told. So therefore, they had to essentially try to take my 4 feet of property or the rights to that 4 feet of property. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I am in a much better financial situation to hire an attorney over this, and I am very willing to. Because I am not gonna sign off anything, I do not wanna look at these townhomes. 3 things I want is a fence, those trees to stay, and I wanna be satisfied on that 4 feet of property across the very back, the largest part of my pie section. Now, I understand you guys look at it totally different as a planning and zoning, or you look at it as a tax base. The rest of us look at it as our backyard. All these people on Second Street against the tracks, you're gonna have houses, you're gonna have back patios for your property. Those trees, there's no guarantee on those trees, because I can tell you 16 years ago, every damn tree off the back of my property was cut. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna fight this tooth and nail. If those three things are not satisfied, it's gonna get ugly. And I don't wanna be like that. I like this community. I've coached T-ball. I've done many years of volunteering. My wife's done many years of volunteering in this community. And I am not involved in local politics. I'm very involved in larger politics, and I can pretty much guarantee you don't want me coming to every city council meeting, because I try to be decent with everybody, but I can be a bear. I don't want to be, but this is something I've invested 22 years of my life. 22 years, I've raised 2 kids in that house, and that needs to be looked at versus just allowing this building to expand its parameters. So I hope you guys will look at that. And if this is quote unquote approved like it was 16 years ago, which it was not, I do not believe. I'd like to see where it was, because according to Barb Swanson, that 4 feet of property on the east side, my big pie, had to be satisfied. And it was not, and it still is not. So I understand you guys can set variances, and there's, like I said, I have no problem hiring an attorney and getting very involved in local politics. Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments? Okay.
Traffic. 2 cars per unit, that's
If you could-
4 cars driving up and down that street.
You'll need to take the podium if you want to make a comment.
I live right across the street from this planned crap hole that's going in. What about the traffic?
Could you step up to the podium, please, sir?
That's all I got to say.
Okay. I'd look for a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
I make a motion to close the
Public hearing.
public hearing and open the planning and zoning meeting.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we reopen the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 7:25.
Is it possible to ask the builder if the things that he requested, the fence and the et cetera, would that work with him?
We could put that in as a condition.
Right,
trees, fence, and the 4 feet.
okay. I'd just be interested in his opinion of what impact would that be easy for him, or would this be a showstopper?
Well, if the adjacent property isn't gonna give up 4 feet, he's gonna have to figure out how to
Right.
shift everything.
Right,
And as easy as that, if we make that as a condition.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, that actually is one of the recommended conditions. That's under number 1B, that the east building setback be increased from 16 to 20 feet as required by the ordinance. And I did speak with the applicant about that. They believe that's possible, whether that's just shifting the entire structure 4 feet west, that would certainly do it, unless there's, underground utility or some reason that would make that not possible. I would suggest if it's not possible to shift the entire structure to meet that setback, another option they would have is simply reducing the width of each of the units or finding another way to shave that 4 feet off. It certainly seems doable.
Yeah, it does address that no trees along the north line. Should we, we want to approach the, was it 1G under the landscaping?
Nothing on the east side?
I'm just reading down.
There is Mr. Chair, members of the commission, there is a condition in there that additional overstory trees should be required along the east lot line. I do have a copy of a plan that wasn't submitted by the applicant, but I do have a more detailed version of a landscaping plan from 2005 that does show additional evergreens along that east lot line. So we've put that in as a condition that in the final landscaping plan that those be added.
Okay.
Are these for senior housing?
No. This is just general housing, correct?
general housing. Right.
Any other discussion? No. I'd look for a motion to either deny or approve the PUD for the Overston second edition.
I would move that we approve this with the changes that our engineer has indicated, and that we take a serious look at meeting the needs of not having the additional 4 feet setback and et cetera, that as he's defined, that with those caveats, I move that we approve it.
Do you hear a second?
I'll make a second, and I hope I'm not wrong.
And we want it right.
Okay. We'll do it. We have to vote per. Commissioner Henry,
What? What do
you
you
vote
want
yes or no?
for this?
Yeah.
I vote yes, but only on the conditions that these trees don't go off of those people's
Right.
yard or that onto that 4 feet that they're talking about.
Okay. Justin's not here. Roger, you vote?
I do the same. Yes.
Okay. I'll vote yes. So it'll pass. That's everyone that's here, so, yeah. We'll pass it with the conditions, the 4 foot, the trees, and the additional screening.
Now, there weren't to be any trees on the north side either, right?
I thought,
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, there are, shown on the landscaping plan, there are along the north property line. The only note on those was, as far as condition, was just to ensure that those don't, at their full growth, that they don't encroach into the utility east of the property along the north lot line.
All right, then the motion passes 3-0.
Mr. Chair, this item will go with the Planning Commission recommendation to the July 12th City Council meeting.
Okay. All right, moving on then.
We have 4 members here tonight.
Thank you all for coming.
We don't.
Hmm?
We don't have 4.
No, no, Justin's gone, and
Cuff too.
Sean is gone too.
This is his 3rd meeting, right? 3rd in a row.
I don't know, I'd have to check with city staff.
We will talk about it after the meeting, Sylvia.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on. The second public hearing for city code amendment related to driveway design for recreational vehicle parking. Again, I'll send it over to city staff for description.
As you recall, at the May 12 meeting, the Planning Commission discussed potential changes to City Code Chapter 1019, parking style and driveway designs, specifically regarding recreational vehicle parking. Based on that discussion, staff has drafted the following amendment in order to make the ordinance more clear and more accommodating for residents to obtain driveway permits. So with regards to design standards, we discussed materials quite a bit. There was some ambiguity there. I remember specifically commissioners wanted to make sure that dust-free materials were used, and to clarify that compacted dirt alone would not suffice. And I did find elsewhere in code that was prohibited, that was addressed. So I didn't add anything specific to dust-free because it did exist elsewhere in the code already. Proposing to modify the following paragraph under design standards, surfacing, to add decorative rock into so the existing materials were defined as concrete, asphalt, concrete pavers, brick set and compacted sand, class 5 gravel or other impervious or semi-impervious material that has been approved by the city engineer. So just adding into that decorative rock, that was something I found common in other cities' ordinances. And then also this, the next the underlined section at the bottom of the page here, if decorative rock or class 5 gravel is used, should be to a minimum depth of 6 inches. And then to address the concerns of construction and maintenance of those type of materials, to ensure that commercial grade weed fabric is used underneath the entire surface underneath. And that edging be used to contain the rock or gravel. So that's generally the concern with those types of driveway additions, is that is basically the long-term maintenance and appearance of those. So that's it on the materials. And then with regards to the setbacks for a side or rear parking yard, this is the part where we discussed that the existing language was kind of outside the bounds of what cities are legally allowed to do with zoning powers, because it currently states that the adjacent property owner shall provide a written statement to the applicant or property owner and the city approving the placement. So you're creating a subjective standard by essentially handing the city's zoning powers to a single neighbor to give a thumbs up or down to what someone wants to do, which is not legal within the city's zoning powers. So based on our discussion last time, we're suggesting the following changes, which are either underlined or struck through in the following section, so that recreational vehicles or equipment are a minimum of 5 feet from an interior lot line or rear lot line, and at least 15 feet from a street side if you're on a corner. The parking pad may be allowed to encroach within that 5-foot side yard setback if the following conditions are met: that the encroachment does not negatively impact drainage, utilities, or city maintenance access to public improvements as determined by the city engineer. Striking out that section where it kind of hands approval power to the neighbor, and setting a standard minimum of 2 feet for setback for those side or rear yard parking pads. And the reason for allowing the 2 feet, I think we discussed a little bit, 2 feet or 3 feet, and I did some research into that. And basically what it comes down to is when you have a home that has the standard minimum side setback of 10 feet to the neighboring property line, you're trying to park an RV in that side setback. Well, an RV, typically RV or trailer, is going to be somewhere around 8 feet wide. So I think that's probably good measure for it to be 2 feet. You certainly don't want someone paving right up to the property line of their neighbor. But putting in that 2 feet standard will set a consistent expectation. So amending this will streamline the permit application process for residents rather than kind of giving the city engineer and a single neighbor sole power over denying what's effectively a variance. Because if this was not done, then kind of each variance request that comes along would have to come to the planning commission and council for any instance where that 5-foot standard setback can't be met. That's pretty much all I have for you.
Okay. Guess we'll look for a motion to close the planning and zoning meeting and open the public hearing.
Move to close the planning and zoning meeting so we can open the public hearing.
By your second,
I second it.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, close the planning and zoning commission meeting at 7:38 and open the floor for any discussion. Anyone? Okay,
Okay.
with no one wanting to make any comments, I'd look for a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the planning and zoning commission meeting.
I move that we close the public meeting and we reopen the planning and zoning committee.
For a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, at 7:39, we'll reopen the planning and zoning commission meeting. I think this is pretty much straightforward. Anyone has any questions on the language that we decided on?
I think it's straightforward. No.
Okay. I'd look for a motion to deny or approve the amendment.
I move that we approve as indicated on the changes as indicated on this document. Is that appropriate?
I'll second it.
Okay. Go down the list again. Sylvia? Yea or nay?
Yeah.
Roger?
Aye, yes.
Okay.
I have a
vote yea.
think.
Yeah, Jennifer changed it up on me, so it's easier to take minutes.
Where was the second planning, the second public hearing? That must have been added?
No, that's all in the agenda. Okay,
Oh, I bet right there it is.
then we've got, old business, the, back to sidewalks.
Back to sidewalks.
Sidewalk maintenance. We got a memo from Bolton and Mink. About the ADA. Turn it back over to city staff for description.
Yeah, if you want to read it off.
Theirs or mine?
Both.
The Bolton and Manx submitted a memorandum. The City of Montrose is currently evaluating its sidewalk maintenance requirements based on city, state, and federal regulations. Specific design and construction standards are applicable. On July 26, 1990, the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, was enacted. Identifies specific regulations surrounding access to services, activities, and facilities. After enactment of the ADA requirements on October 20th, 1999, U.S. Access Board organized Public Rights of Way Access Advisory Committee to develop requirements for access to sidewalks, streets, crosswalks, curb ramps, and other public rights of way components. On July 26, 2011, the committee developed public rights of way accessibility guidelines and issued them for public comment. Federal, state, county, and local agencies have been implementing these guidelines requirements for multiple years. To meet ADA and the public rights of way guidelines requirements, public facilities such as sidewalks must be designed and constructed according to specific tolerances. For example, newly constructed sidewalks must have a cross slope of 2% or less. Pedestrian ramps can be more complex and require a running slope of less than 8.34%, a landing area of 4 by 4 feet, and less than 2% slope in all directions, and have an ADA compliant detectable warning, e.g. truncated domes. Minnesota Department of Transportation has developed standard plans consisting of 6 plan pages devoted entirely to pedestrian ramps. The city development standards require sidewalks to be a minimum of 5 feet in width, consisting of 5 inches of concrete constructed over 6 inches of aggregate base, class 5. In summary, federal agencies have developed specific requirements for public rights of way components, including sidewalks. As sidewalks or other components are replaced or constructed, they should satisfy those requirements. We recommend that any work associated with public rights of way components be reviewed by the City of Montrose.
I also talked to the engineers. We were talking about how many miles or feet of sidewalk that are in the city. So they gave me the total length of trails and sidewalks combined is 93,620 feet, or 17.7 miles of sidewalk and trails within the city. I did have our new deputy treasurer, Michael Sommerfeld, look into kind of what the other cities around here are doing, and he got some responses from a few of them, and I'm just gonna have him go over those results.
Do you want me to read through the whole thing there?
Just summarize.
So I did contact all the cities in Wright County to get a broad range of population sizes and equivalent. Of the responses, a few cities did not respond, and a few also did not have their city code on their sites or available. Of the available ones, there were 10 codes that I could review and 10 respondents to how in practice they implement their repairs. Almost all their codes stated that the city will have the resident either complete the repairs or hire them, or the city will do them, but the resident will ultimately pay either directly to the city or through an assessment. When speaking to staff, either in the city offices or their public works departments, it was the opposite. Almost all cities told me that in practice, the cities have been doing repairs, especially for minor cracks or if it's only a few slabs, but doing the repairs and ultimately paying through budgets with a few exceptions. So the pie charts on the final 2 pages of your packet show kind of the breakdown of in practice, what their codes say is almost entirely the resident funds and arranges for the repairs. And according to the staff themselves, almost entirely the cities handle the repairs and the funding.
I did talk to our current clerk treasurer about this, and she said that it could be possible for us to budget for this as well. We would just have to know that before we budget, and we would budget a certain amount every year to work on sidewalks, so.
Okay. Okay, any thoughts?
I think that you guys did an excellent job gathering the data and the information. And I recommend that, we propose to the city council that we adopt the practice where the city repairs and the city budgets for the reasons that I spoke of last time, that the sidewalks and everything is being driven more and more by ADA requirements, and that's coming right down the pike at us. So,
Yeah, and I feel it's a good idea because then we have consistency. If we
It'll
have
be
one
consistent.
entity doing repairs and installations, it'll be,
a nightmare.
Uniform.
Right.
yeah, because I've seen some really interesting repairs around the city as I drove around.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, so you were making that motion?
Do we need, motion that,
Second it.
All in favor?
is the motion detailed enough? Is there enough detail with the motion?
Yeah, we will
Okay.
kind of push this on to city council, and
Right.
it'll have to be an ordinance change, so it'll take a little while, and we'll
That's
have to
great.
get our attorney and stuff involved.
Perfect.
But, yep,
As
we'll
long as
get that going.
as long as I've articulated enough that you're able to capture it.
Yep.
That's great. Thank you.
So, well, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Change. New business. City planner updates?
Don't believe we have anything else new for you since last time. Well, both of the public hearing items that we discussed tonight will go to the city council in July.
Great.
Okay.
Still quite a bit of prospective development.
Yeah.
Still quite a bit of prospective development, kind of swimming and hovering out there. So at some point, the dam will break and you'll have some big development issues likely to deal with, probably still this year, but kind of just waiting for that to happen.
Okay. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, July 14th, 2021, at the community center here at 7 p.m. With that, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I close the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 7:49.